Everyone agrees that the late, great Billy Mays was the all-time king of infomercials, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all of his products were winners. Today we're gonna resurrect some old products endorsed by the man himself and find out if they're still fresh and dapper or if they belong in the crapper. Kicking it off today is the Steam Buddy, a handheld clothing steamer to put the power of a dry cleaner in the palm of your hand. After removing the contents, you'll have the Steam Buddy unit, the Bane mask, and a head cover for the unit with a little fabric on it so you can slide it around with ease. To ready the Steam Buddy for battle, just remove the reservoir cap and fill it with some water. Now we have absolutely no idea how to use this thing, so let's take a look at the literature. The document we found inside said you can't use the product if you have reduced physical, sensory, or mental capabilities. Well, that describes our entire household hacker team. Moving on, introducing the Mighty Putty, a magical epoxy stick that claims to fix, fill, and seal almost anything fast and make it last. Inside the box, there's some instructions and 2 tubes of Mighty Putty inside of some of the containers to keep the stank inside. The product is used in a 2-step process, so the instructions are mostly unimportant. Let's see what this stuff can do. This dilapidated cart needs a little TLC, and it's the perfect candidate for the Mighty Putty. It's got some particle board deteriorating from years of hard labor and moisture. The putty should easily bond the pieces back together durably and prepare it for another decade of use. To start, just remove the Mighty Putty from its tube and cut off about an inch from the end of the stick. Place the rest back into the tube to keep it from drying out any more than it already has over the last 20 years. All you've got to do is knead the putty together. It proves to be a bit more difficult than you may expect, but keep at it and the color should start to blend, activating the chemical reaction. You'll know it's ready when you've got a bluish-gray blob that smells like Ben Askren's armpit, which is exactly why we recommend using gloves. Now that it's mixed, immediately push it into the targeted area, pressing firmly to let the mixture seep into even the deepest crevasse. The idea is that it will bond to the surface, as well as the sidewall of the cart, and ensure that it won't come loose when rolling it around the house. After knocking out both sides, the lumpy putty was left to set for about half an hour. As anticipated, it hardened like a stone. The surface was unscratchable by hand. As you can see, the hammer don't hurt them either. With a little bit of elbow grease, the putty was sanded flattish before we dropped a Banksy on it and gave it a fresh coat of unmatching paint. The same process was repeated on the top side as well, because this thing really went through the ringer and was broken just about everywhere. Overall, the Mighty Putty was an easy fix as far as filling and bonding this little project goes, and after loading it up with all our items, you can easily hide all the imperfections you made. That being said, we turn this simple little cart into a mighty cart that'll last us for years to come. Since we can't test the Steam Buddy without assistance, the only plausible answer was to summon the spirit of the man himself, Billy Mays. After busting out our spirit board, we found that the planchet or pointer was unfortunately broken. This sounds like a job for a little Mighty Putty. After bonding it together, there was a gust of smoke and the scent of fresh linen in the air, so we were fairly certain that we summoned the right guy. With a touch of the planchet, the candles ignited and the scent of linen grew stronger as we were professionally guided through the use of the Steam Buddy. So here's what we learned. To fire this thing up, just plug it in and the red light will come on to let you know that it's heating up. When that light goes out, you're ready to blast some fabrics and eradicate some wrinkles. But first, we needed something wrinkled to test it on. Oddly enough, my basement door began to open, so I went inside.
Steam my shirt. Steam my shirt.
It would appear that dry cleaning is hard to come by in the netherworld, so we'll take care of Billy's iconic shirt for him. It's the least we can do. Once the shirt was hung up, the Steam Buddy leapt into action. For this first run, attachment free. Following a few short blasts and swipes, the wrinkles were visibly fading, but it's important to keep your eye on that red light. If you keep pressing the button when the unit's heating up, it'll spritz your clothes with hot water. If this happens, and it will, just break out your orange hairdryer and you can tidy up those wet spots in no time at all. To really fine-tune the shirt, clip on the fabric attachment and use a spray and stroke method. The fabric brushes really help to pull the shirt while the steam releases the wrinkles, and tackling the shirt collar is also a breeze when you utilize the Bane mask. Just clip it onto the head, place the shirt into its mighty jaws, and steam while you slide. Just like that, you've got a perfect press. Now take a look here as we compare the steam side of the shirt to the untreated side. There's a definite improvement. That being said, we wanted to make sure we gave our trusty steam iron a shot at defending its title. Placing the shirt directly onto the ironing board, the wrinkles were eliminated immediately using the tried and true method. Side by side, the results speak for themselves. If you're looking for a wrinkle-free press with much less time and effort involved, just stick with what you've already got, a steam iron. Sorry, Billy. Now, as you're certainly aware, the problem with summoning a helpful spirit is that once they're here, you just can't get rid of them. It's kind of like a yellow stain on a t-shirt. Out of nowhere, old Billy materialized to push his most famous product on me. This guy never quits, and quite frankly, he was starting to get on my nerves. After temporarily locking Billy in the mirror, we decided to test the Hercules hook, a tool-free hanging solution that doesn't even need studs. All you've got to do is twist it in, push it in, turn it, and bop it. Holding up to 40 pounds each, are these hooks ready to conquer the 12 labors of Hercules? Busting them out, you've got 10 hooks per box, conveniently packaged in an ocean-loving plastic bag. The design itself is fairly simple, with one end being your hook, while the other side is pointed so you can easily rip through drywall like a fist during an argument. To test their Herculean might, just follow the directions. Pierce the target by rotating the hook with applied pressure, forcing it through the drywall. Give it a little tap to make sure it's set and the hook is ready to go. And speaking of go, this original Van Gogh weighs about 25 pounds and depicts the great battle between Hercules and Cerberus. Once it's mounted and hung, it appears that the Hercules hook is holding steady, but after a few moments it's already hanging a smidge lower and has torn a bit of the drywall. In fact, only 15 minutes later, the hook was removed to reveal that its original hole had doubled in size. Definitely not ideal for your art gallery. With skepticism on the rise, the claim of holding 40 pounds on each hook seems like a lofty goal when the painting had such tepid results. So we dusted the cobwebs off this adjustable dumbbell, and it was set to 40 pounds before attaching a small rope with a triple knot. After punching a new hole and setting the hook, the rope was looped over it and gently hung. Although the hook was indeed strong enough to support the weight, the drywall began to tear almost immediately. When a little jostle and shake was introduced to simulate a door slamming in the house, the hook failed completely and left quite a gash behind. Comparing the failed hook to a fresh one from the box, you can see that although it seemed fine when installed, the weight of the dumbbell had completely ruined it, robbing the hook of all utility. Unless you're hanging something extremely light, these hooks are simply destined to fail. We give the Hercules hooks 12 out of 49 peacocks. Now this next one is fire. The Handy Switch is a wireless light switch that you should never buy. It lets you control anything plugged into it remotely and will light up your life in more ways than one. After cutting open the box, you've got the switch, which sends the signal to the plug, a clip, and the receiving plug itself. The back of the unit reveals a battery compartment, which included a battery, and hidden in the bottom of the box are the instructions along with some double-sided tape. Setting up the switch is fairly simple. Just make sure the desired lamp is turned on, then plug in the receiver to your outlet. When that's done, the nightlight should fire up on the receiver, emitting a faint blue glow. Now plug the lamp into the receiver and everything should be good to go. When you flick the switch on, the nightlight will turn off, because you don't need that anymore. On rare occasions, the unit may need a couple flicks to respond, but that could be attributed to the constant flicking we're doing here, or interference from the spirit world. It even works if you want to power multiple devices by utilizing an extension cord. Just plug it into the receiver and into an outlet on the wall. Once you've got your devices plugged into the extension cord, you can easily power them on from anywhere, just using this pocket-sized switch. Now, unfortunately for the Handy Switch, this is where the testing ends. While doing our extensive research, it appears that the Handy Switch was actually the subject of a massive recall after being the culprit of 9 house fires. That being said, we're not heartless, and we did give it one last spark and sizzle before putting it to bed permanently. Good night, Billy! Rounding us out today is the Big City Slider Station, an easy-to-use stovetop burger contraption. Claiming to cook quickly and evenly, this kitchen wonder is perfect for most occasions, and you can tell because it says so right here next to Billy. Look, it's even got his name here in cursive font to simulate a signature. Inside the box, you'll find the Slider Station carefully encased in bubble wrap for your friends to enjoy while you toil away in the kitchen. The parts are well made, fit together perfectly, and are every bit as rugged as Billy's beard. There's also some ridges built in. Give you some grill marks if that's your thing. Now before getting started, prepare your burger dressings and grab the included scoop to form your ground meat into the size of a large meatball. You can season them after they're in a ball or beforehand, doesn't matter. But next, firmly press the lid onto the burgers to flatten them out and ensure even cooking. That's it for prep. Place the station onto the burner and set it slightly higher than medium. We're going with a 6 here because Billy kept repeating that number in my dreams. Although the commercial says that the burgers should only take 2 minutes, these were left on for 5 due to the fact that the stovetop was not preheated. While cooking, the first thing you'll notice is the amount of sizzling. While this is usually a good sign, the actual sound is the grease bubbling up because it's trapped in each compartment. Removing your burgers is also a perilous task as the hot liquid loves to jump out and say hello to your skin. Oh, and even worse, when they were put onto the buns, it was fairly evident that the burgers weren't fully cooked at all. A light press let forth a deluge of myoglobin and grease, so the decision was made to return them to their non-stick prisons for a few more minutes. About 3.5 minutes later, the burgers were pulled. It was obvious that the bottom of the meat was cooked substantially more than the top, busting that claim of an even cook. The patty itself was much smaller than anticipated and got dwarfed by a simple slice of cheese. After fully garnished and devoured, the burgers came out moderately well. However, with all the effort and cleanup required, the Big City Grease Trap only earns 15 out of 27 paper towels. To be honest, you'd be better off making them in a pan and flipping them the old-fashioned way. We hope you enjoyed our journey of discovery into the monumental and historical products of Billy Mays. A big shout out to the man for stopping by and gracing us with his ethereal presence, though we wouldn't suggest anyone else ask for his help because he's a bit clean. Alright, that's it. Subscribe, eBay, Facebook, Amazon. See you next time. Smash that replay button.